Friday, and thanks for tuning into RadioFreeRhinecliff.org and this show in particular. Correct me if I'm Norm. I'm your host, Norm. I'm thrilled to be here tonight with Nancy McKay, who's got a special announcement, kind of. What?
It's First Friday.
You're beautifully, beautifully done, Nancy. It's First Friday down here in the Hamlet. You should come on down. There's going to be a big dinner for $15 to support a good cause, and also celebrate the 5th year anniversary of the fabulous Epicurean Corner Store, which is where we are right now in the Nook at the Epicurean. And they have allowed us, Radio Free Rhinecliff, to camp here for 4 years. So come down. It's always a fabulous party. $15 gets you a whole mess of food: barbecue chicken, baked potatoes with the works, yummy bean salad known as Cliff's Caviar, and cupcakes to celebrate the birthday. Come on down to First Friday. Thanks, Nancy, for kicking that off.
Absolutely.
And you have another announcement, don't you?
I do. A very important announcement. Next Saturday, September 13th, is Rhinebeck Porch Fest. Best event of the year.
Yeah. And what happens at Porch Fest for people who have been living in their closet for the past decade?
Or maybe new people that are coming to town.
Yeah.
Porch Fest is an event in the village of Rhinebeck, basically on 2 streets, Chestnut and Livingston, where very generous homeowners give their porches or their yards to musicians. We have 44 bands playing between 11 and 6 p.m. And at 6 p.m., right at the fairgrounds on Mulberry and Platte, the fairgrounds closest to the village,
right.
We have a finale band, which is Bill's Toupee Band, which was voted best of the Hudson Valley by Chronogram.
Wow. For just band or a particular kind of band, a swing band, a Latin band?
They're a cover band, dance band. Like they do a lot of weddings.
Bill's Toupee Band. I like the title.
And the S on Bill's is a $sign because he said everybody needs dollars and dancing.
Bill, a great philosopher and a great musician.
I like
and
that.
So what time does Porch Fest begin?
11.
And there's food trucks?
There's food trucks. Really, we have like 5 food trucks, delicious assortment of food. And we have Rhinebeck Crew from the high school. It's their main event, and they do great tacos. We have Reggae Boy. We've got some yummy Jamaican food. I have DJ's Fish Fry and Cider Brothers Roadhouse, so burgers and bar fare. And then we have a new vendor joining us called Lemon Love, which is like all lemon things, like lemonade and other yummy lemon treats. And Valicious, the Thai caterer, who is fantastic.
God.
So great
Sounds
assortment
amazing.
of food. And it's all free. And the musicians in the Hudson Valley.
You got to pay for the food, right?
Yeah, you got to pay for the food. Sorry.
Right.
You're right.
Too bad.
But the music is free.
Yeah.
And we have such great musicians in the Hudson Valley. So I think it's going to be great.
And is it limited to Hudson Valley musicians, or does Bono want to get in, but he can't?
You know, I couldn't find a porch big enough
for his ego.
I did work at it, but I just couldn't find the right porch for him, so I had to turn him away.
Who's got the biggest porch in Porch Fest? Is there a competition for that?
I try not to have competition. I just try to have more porches.
Right.
But probably, 21 Chestnut's a pretty big porch.
Okay. It's not ringing a bell. I'm not sure what house is that. Is that the one that's behind that fence that they put up a few years ago?
The doors to that fence are always open.
Nice.
And that's been a very successul location.
It's an amazing house.
It is a
gorgeous.
Beautiful house. I mean, there's so many beautiful homes on.
And do houses take part? I mean, the house owners take part year after year after year?
Yes, we've been super lucky that I think Porch Fest started in 2017 by Liz Mazzarello.
Right.
Was the driver behind it. And so she kind of lined up all the porches. And for the most part, the porch owners have continued. We take very good care of them, and the bands are very careful. And we do have some new porches this year. And so I think it's going to be great.
And so do you go around and knock on doors of people who have porches who haven't taken part, or do you figure out who they are? Do you send them letters?
I write a little letter, and then I put a handwritten note on it, and then I put it in their door and say, please text me. I really need your porch. And I've had some good success with that.
And have you had people call you or get in touch with you from that letter and say, what the hell is Porch Fest?
No, because it's pretty I mean, it's a letter that explains it if they didn't know, but I figure I'm probably not that detailed. They kind of get it.
Most people know.
Yep.
Huh.
So either they write to me and say, yes, you can have my porch. Actually, my best letter was, yes, you can have my porch. When we remodeled the house, we even put an outlet on the porch so that when we had people for Porch Fest, they had an outlet on the porch.
No way.
Winner. Chicken dinner on that one, yeah.
That's spectacular.
Yeah.
And how did you get involved with this? You said Liz Mazzarella started it.
Yeah, well, so my husband has a band, and when we first moved to Rhinebeck, we went to Porch Fest the first year, and it was so great, and the musician quality was fantastic. We saw Roadhouse Roosters at Rugi's, and that was the first band we saw, and we were like, these guys are fantastic.
Wow.
And so then we walked around, and my husband was in the process of forming his band at that point, just after the pandemic.
Right.
And he's like, we're going to play here next year. And then we heard that there was not going to be a Porch Fest because they were short on volunteers.
Oh, geez.
So I knew someone who knew Liz, and she introduced me, and I started helping her. And
Sweet. And do you still need volunteers?
Yes, very much so.
And so if people are listening, I mean, we have several thousand listeners right now, and they wanted to volunteer, be a part of Porch Fest, who would they contact?
They would contact me.
Okay.
Can I give my phone number?
I don't know, or an email or whatever you're comfortable
let me
with.
give my email.
No.
It's unmckay@gmail.com.
Okay, UN McKay.
Right, like Ursula Nancy McKay.
Oh, Ursula Nancy, what a lovely name.
That's not really my name, but that's what it's like.
But the Nancy part's correct.
The Nancy part's correct. What it came
Where's
from.
the U? Is it a horrible name?
No, it is that my nephews call me Uncle Nancy because when they were little, they thought Uncle Richard, who's, that's the real connection. They thought Uncle Richard, well, that's Uncle Nancy.
Right.
And so
I love that.
When they were 2 and 4, and now they're in their 30s, and they still call us the uncles.
That's so sweet. Is there a non-gender specific name for your parents' sibling? Right? It's either aunt or uncle. Is there a non-gender specific
I don't
name
think
for that?
so. Like there's sibling, but not.
Yeah.
No.
Parents' sibling. There's no good word for that.
Sibling, yeah, that's a little.
Now, you mentioned your husband has a band, but let me ask this. Does his band have a cocktail named after it?
As a matter of fact, it's so funny you ask. Yes, he has a catawampus cocktail, and we happen to be drinking it right now.
It's so good. And thank you so much for bringing it. What is in this strong catawampus cocktail?
Well, I was the bartender. I don't know. Well, their main color is this really cool green, electric green. So when you see their banner anywhere they play, Catawampus is their name, and it's in green. And so my husband found some Midori, and we played with this to make you a customized cocktail.
Thank you so much.
At Jen's direction.
Thank you, Jen.
It's got Midori. It's got a little tequila, really yummy tequila. It's supposed to have lime, but I screwed up on the lime, and then seltzer. And we tried all kinds of, we worked on it last night with the percentages and seltzer versus tonic versus flavored seltzer. So, I mean, this is really a labor of love for you.
Oh, thank you so much. It's really super yummy. And so Catawampus has a color. I'm guessing, do they have like a logo and stuff, this group?
Yeah.
What is a Catawampus anyway?
Catawampus is a word that I've read that it might be Scottish, but I think it's Indian. It's very Southern, and it means out of kilter. So if something's cattywampus, and some people say cattywampus, some people say catawampus, it just like the Leaning Tower of Pisa is catawampus.
Wow.
Next time you'll hear people say it, but I think it's more Southern than Northern.
And are they slightly off, this band, Catawampus?
Slightly off, just a
Yeah.
little.
Yeah.
In a great way.
One leg shorter than the other.
Well, that would be an example. Their legs are, I think, all the same length.
Oh, well, good for them. Yeah, mine aren't. That's why I thought of that. So you said you used to be a bartender. Where did that happen?
No, I just became a bartender today.
Oh, you just...
And that's why I forgot the lime.
Huh. Well, let's back up. Where were you from originally? Where'd you go to high school?
I'm originally from Northern Virginia,
Okay.
but then I went to high school in St. Petersburg, Florida.
Wow. And because your folks moved from
My
wherever you
folks
were.
moved around a few times.
And
Yeah.
how come? Were they in the military or?
Well, my dad worked. My dad was an aeronautical engineer. He worked on the space program.
Cool.
And he had various jobs in different places, so we moved a few times. So he worked with the government, but not for the government.
Right. Sounds pretty good. And
Pretty.
did you have siblings?
I had an older brother,
Uh-huh.
17 years older.
Oh, my God.
With nobody in between, so quite.
That's a lot older.
Yeah, it's a lot older.
So at a certain point, like age 3 or something, you had the house all to yourself.
Well, actually, when I was born, my brother joined the Coast Guard. I'm not really sure there was a relationship there because I joined the family and he left, but
Right.
he did join the Coast Guard.
And
So I was really like an only child.
Are you close to him now?
No, unfortunately, he's passed away. But I am close to his kids.
Sorry to hear that.
I'm going to see them next week.
Oh, sweet.
Yeah.
Well, that's nice.
Yeah. Yeah.
And where do they live?
Northern Virginia. Everybody's in Northern Virginia.
So you did high school in Florida,
Mm-hmm.
and then it seems like you went to college in Florida too.
I did. When I was young, about 6, I think, growing up in Washington D.C. area, I wanted to be a senator, and so when we moved to Florida, and I knew I was going to go to high school, I went to high school there, and I worked in various organizations and things that focused me on government. I wanted to go to school in the state capital, which was in Tallahassee, which I'm very happy to say I went to Florida State.
Right. And I'm guessing you had a great time.
I did have a great time. I worked a lot in the legislature. I had a lot of jobs because I wanted to be the senator from the state of Florida.
Yeah.
And right until before I graduated. And then I realized I didn't want to raise money every 2 years because I knew before I was a senator, I'd have to be a congressman. And I didn't want to go through that every 2-year situation of raising money.
That's very interesting.
So I said, I think I'll try to go into business instead of politics. So that's what I did.
And do you ever look back and sort of wish that you had not made that choice? That you'd stayed in politics?
No.
Florida politics is pretty interesting.
It's very interesting. I'm very glad not to be involved in politics right now.
Yeah, and maybe, I don't know your politics, but maybe especially Florida politics.
You can probably guess. Yes.
Yeah.
Especially in Florida.
But a part of you has sort of stayed in Florida. You still work with FSU.
I do. I've been a very active alumna. I've been on a couple boards of various parts of the school, and I taught for the last 5 years. I just finished my teaching. I taught in the business school, which was tons of fun. Got to really meet a lot of students and faculty. It was a really interesting experience. And I go back there pretty often and work on a number of different projects.
So you said you just finished your teaching. Did you have like a 5-year contract?
I didn't have a contract, but I thought 5 years was a good run. It's a lot of work. And not that I mind work, but I just decided it was time. And as I, get a little older, my connections with the industry, one of the things that was most fun was connecting students to people in my industry so that they could perhaps get an internship or a job.
Right.
And as I've gotten older, my connections have moved on and retired and all that. So I decided I'd had a good run of 5 years, 12 semesters. I thought that was pretty good.
And what was your industry?
The beauty industry.
Oh.
I worked
which part of it?
I worked for the Estee Lauder companies for 27 years, a long time.
Egads.
And then after that, I started working for some smaller companies that were owned by private equity. So I was the CEO of a couple different companies in the beauty space.
And that sounds pretty good. And what did you do? You worked for Clinique and Aramis and Estee Lauder. Are they all part of the same sort
They're
of?
all part of Estee Lauder. So Estee Lauder, Clinique, Tom Ford, Erin. There's about 27 brands that the Estee Lauder company owns, and I worked for a number of them in different responsibilities.
Right. And I guess you enjoyed that if you did that for 27 years.
I did. It was a great career. I really enjoyed it.
And you were doing marketing for all their brands or certain brands at a time?
Certain brands at a time.
Uh-huh.
Yeah.
And which of those brands was your favorite one to be working on?
Oh, I can't answer that question. That's a pretty hard one.
Oh, well, you're done. You're not in the industry anymore, right?
That's true.
What were some of the things that you did that you really look back on most fondly?
By far, thing I'm the most fond of and have so many great memories of are team building. I have worked with a lot of amazing people.
Right.
And throughout my different roles and different geographies, different brands, I was always able to find great teams and pull them together.
Right.
And that was a lot of fun. And it was fun to build a business. So when you ask what my favorite brand was, this is really far off Porch Fest, I just want to say. When I think about my favorite brand, they were all at different life cycles. So I was part of Clinique when it became the #1 brand in the U.S., over whether mass or prestige. I was at Tom Ford Beauty when it just launched in the United States. So I was very responsible for bringing that brand to the U.S. And then I was responsible for the Estee Lauder brand, which is a very mature brand, but with amazing product. And so each of them are at different points in their life cycle as a brand. So I loved all of them when I was there. It was fun.
Right. You liked the startups. You liked the ultra premium.
Yep.
Huh.
And then Clinique, which is more of an entry level into prestige type brand, which was growing tremendously at the time I was there. So it was fun.
And do you still pay attention to sort of what's happening in that world?
Well, that was my class. My class at Florida State was called The Business of Beauty. So in that class,
good class title.
Yeah, it was really fun. I talked about marketing. I had a lot of guest speakers, which was great because it was on. I taught for 9 semesters online and 3 semesters in the international program, which was in person. But in the online class, you can get anybody to talk for an hour on Zoom. Like, it's a nice part of your day if you're an executive for a company. Oh, sure, I'll talk for an hour. So I had, I talked about supply chain. I talked about product development. I talked about marketing, whether it was brand marketing or social media. So anyway, it was a really fun class. And so that kept me super connected to the industry.
Right.
So I definitely continue to watch.
Right. That's good. And were you ever tempted to start your own line?
No.
How come? I mean, so many people go, especially I think from marketing, to like starting their own company.
I don't have. I have one idea, and that idea really belongs to someone else. I mean, I thought of it, but it's somebody else's logo. I just think you have to. It's really hard to come up, and it's so competitive. I like taking a brand and figuring out who the customer is and how you reach that customer. And I don't have good enough idea to start a brand, except for this one thing.
What was the one?
Tell you the one thing?
Yeah.
So the books for little kids. There's a book called Fancy Nancy.
Okay.
And Disney owns that title and that story. And they could make lip glosses and sell them at Disney World and Disneyland and like print money.
But Disney, how do they own that? I don't think you can own a book title. I mean,
they own the rights. They own the rights to the book and the author and any kind of thing they do with it.
That's fine, but I still don't think you can own a book title. I know you can't own a movie title.
Well, they own, it's not just the title, like they own the property, the intellectual property. But it's just a book right now, right? So if you started a line of makeup, you wouldn't be competing with any intellectual property they owned. Yeah, because they own that copyright, pretty sure.
But not the name. I'm pretty sure you can't own a name.
Okay.
So, I
would like Disney's money to support my idea. I don't want to go against them. I think that would probably not be it didn't work for Ron DeSantis. I don't think it's going to work for me.
Right. And so that sounds like a great idea for...
The reason I came up with it is because in teaching my class, I was teaching them about, profit and loss statements. And so I thought, okay, well, I need to have an example. So I made up this whole company, Fancy Nancy Beauty. And, how many lip glosses would we need to fill the Disneyland and Disney World stores? Like, I did work to sort of figure it out. And then I realized that I didn't know it at the time when I first started that Disney owned it. But once I figured it out, then I was like, well, this seems like a really good idea. So maybe if somebody from Disney's listening, they can call me in as a consultant.
Yeah, or send you a preemptive cease and desist letter.
They don't have to worry. I'm not going to do it without them.
Yeah, that's too bad. a cease and desist letter from Disney would be a nice thing to hang on the wall.
Yeah, that would be really good.
So you never thought of starting your own.
I didn't.
But if you had, you kind of like this idea.
Yeah.
But famously litigious, deep-pocketed Disney.
Yeah. I mean, I didn't seriously think about doing it. I seriously did the plan really for academic reasons because it was a good way to illustrate my point throughout the semester.
Well, I'll bet they're going to miss you a lot there in FSU.
I hope so. It's good to be missed. You want to be missed, right? You want to make enough of an impact that people miss you.
Yeah. And do you have old students like getting in touch with you?
Oh, yeah, all the time. I actually talked to one at like 3 o'clock right before I came.
That must be very gratifying.
It's super gratifying, particularly when they've been like out for 5 years and they're in a different world now and they have a question about how to deal with a difficult situation and they want to talk to me about it. It's very rewarding for them to come back.
Consulting with their old professor.
Yeah, exactly.
And so now you're supposing a job opened up like around here, like at Bard or DCC, would you consider going back?
I don't know. Maybe.
Yeah. And what do you miss about it?
I miss the students.
Right.
That's the part I miss. And I actually love when I've been able to teach in our overseas programs, getting to interact with the faculty. And in an international program, maybe there's 2 other business professors, but there's also an art professor and a philosophy professor and an accounting, professor. Like there's just, you get to see the world. A music professor teaching the music of Italy when I was in Florence, like it's the professors that are there as the faculty.
You were traveling.
Right. I was with other faculty, which I'm not as an online professor.
That sounds amazing.
It was phenomenal.
You went to Florence. Where else did you go?
I went to London. I went to Florence. And this summer I went to Valencia.
Great.
Yeah, it was fantastic.
Are there any trips planned for the future?
No, 'cause we have 3 international programs. One's in Spain, in those 3 locations. And so it just kind of worked out. I thought, all right, I'm going to teach in Valencia, and that'll be 5 years and 12 semesters. That's a nice set. So.
Isn't that funny? And are you generally that way? You want like a nice even number of things?
Well, 27 years at Estee Lauder wasn't really that magical of a number. I thought I would be there forever.
It's a great number.
It's a high number, but I didn't really think that way.
Yeah.
I don't know. I'll have to think about that one.
Yeah. Well, you're a tennis player. Numbers.
I think in sets.
Nice sets. Yeah. I'm just grasping.
I'd like to win a set.
Grasping at straws here. Are you very competitive when you play? Do you really want to win?
I really want to play well.
Right. It's a whole different thing.
Yeah. I have 2 goals. One is I like to play well. I'd like to feel like I was a competitive player. And the other thing is I'd like other people to say, oh, she's fun to play with. Let's call her. Like those are 2 goals.
Yeah. That's pretty good. I feel like you've succeeded. We've played once or
we've
twice.
Had a lot of fun. Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah. And those are pretty much my goals. Like I want to play well enough and be happy enough doing it that people are like, oh, get Norm to fill in.
Yeah,
exactly. He's fine.
Exactly.
He's not the best player, but he's okay, and he's always happy to be here.
Yeah. She doesn't never fault that much. She'll be, she's competitive. Yeah. She'll be good.
Exactly. And have you played tennis your whole life?
Embarrassingly, yes, I have. You'd think I would be better, right?
Well, I remember you being pretty good.
I'm okay. But there's so many people that play here. It's fantastic.
Yeah. And did you play in high school?
Yes. That's when I started playing. Nice.
Did you play other sports in high school as well?
No, I did not.
Were you a good student?
I was. She says reluctantly. I was.
She said demurely. Were you like the valedictorian or something?
I was not.
The way you blushed at the
No.
was.
I was not.
Uh-huh.
Because I always had jobs and clubs and other, I was like super Miss Extracurricular.
Uh-huh. So when you finished your degree at FSU, you were looking for a job in marketing somewhere. And did you at that point have some idea that you'd go into cosmetics marketing or beauty marketing or?
So I did. I literally thought I was going to run for, I thought I would work on a campaign when I graduated and then go get elected.
Right.
Or at least run at any rate. And so when I decided that wasn't what I was going to do, I really didn't know what I wanted to do. But I had always been interested in the beauty industry, and I mean, back in the day when there were newspapers that everybody read, on Sundays there would be a Clinique ad that Clinique was having a gift with purchase at Macy's. And then you'd go into Macy's and you couldn't miss it when you walked in. Like, the print ad had a connection to the store experience. And then there was there were banners. And, I felt like they executed really well for the consumer. So I was always interested in it. And so, but when I got out of school, I needed to rely on the resources and the connections that I'd made working in the Tallahassee legislature. And so I started working, I got a job at what was called Southern Bell, old telephone company stuff, in their management training program. And I was there for 6 years, and I had 18 bosses in 6 years.
Egads.
And one of those bosses I had for 2 years. So that's a lot and it was great experience because you kind of realize you have to flex to your boss's needs. It was a really good lesson.
Right. And what kinds of things were you doing? Was it a 3-year-long training program?
No, I came out of the training. The benefit of the training program was that you worked in various parts of the business.
Right.
And at the end of that 6 years, I stayed in one job for 2 years where I was an account executive, and I was selling phones back in the day when phones were just being
selling the
sold.
hardware.
Selling the phone that you plugged into a
phone.
jack. Yeah, which
Right.
was big news.
Wait, were you selling it or renting it?
No, I was there for when they started to sell phones. So I'd sell Mickey Mouse phones and Darth Vader phones.
Oh my God!
And I mean,
well, you're a lot younger than I am. I mean, because I rented my equipment forever and ever.
I don't think I'm a lot younger than you. No, it was a very transitionary time in the industry, and I was
Right.
there when AT&T took over all of the Bell systems. Your listeners are going to say, "What is she talking about?"
Yeah, Well, explain it real fast about like Bell, which ran all of the phone and communication systems,
Right.
in the entire unit.
You
US.
didn't buy your phone. It was hardwired into the wall, and I mean, when I started, there were touch-tone phones, but there were still a lot of rotary dial phones.
Yeah.
And so there were, I want to say, 12 baby Bells. So there was Southern Bell, there was Midwestern Bell, there was Western Bell. I don't.
Because the government wanted to break up this monopoly.
And so the government broke up a monopoly, and so they all kind of folded into AT&T. And in the transition of that, they started putting in jacks that you plugged your phone into, and then
Right.
you could buy a phone that had a jack. And I sold some of those phones.
But you didn't sell them to...
Fascinating, not. But anyway, it was
You
good
didn't
experience.
sell them to people, did you? You sold them to like...
Both. I mean,
Okay.
I was an account exec, so I went around and I sold them to Macy's.
Right.
And so that Macy's sold them to consumers.
Right.
And I sold them to Macy's for Macy's phones, but I didn't sell like the big systems for a Macy's. Like that was another
I
area
gotcha.
of the company.
You sold the phones
I
to
sold
them to
consumer
sell on to the
products.
consumers.
Yeah,
And
consumer
what
products.
kind of phone did you have at the time? Did you have a Princess phone?
Of course, I had a Princess.
Oh,
phone.
no.
But I also was around. This is.
I was
just-
not cast in aspersions. That's the only phone I remember.
I also was around when cordless phones first started coming around.
Right.
And so I would go to department stores and I would be advertised in the paper that I was going to be there, and I was going to explain a NiCad battery to people and how they needed to use their cordless phones so the batteries lasted a long time. I think your listeners have all now fallen asleep, but yeah, that's what I did.
Yeah. I mean, it's like the Twilight Zone, listening to all this
I know, it was crazy.
stuff from my youth and your youth. And so how long did it last there working for Southern Bell?
Well, I was doing quite well, and they told me I was going to get promoted. And so I lived in Atlanta, which is where I moved after I graduated.
And where in Atlanta?
I lived in Buckhead. And my boss said, well, we've got this great job. Da, da. And I said, no, I'm not. I'm going to live my whole life in Atlanta. I'm not moving to. They wanted me to go to New York.
So what year is this?
1985.
Okay.
And so I said no. And so they gave me my 2 weeks of severance pay. So it was like $100 or something,
Wait, so they said, we want you to go to New York. You said no.
And they said, well, that's where your unit's moving and you got to go. Like,
Wow.
And so I thought, well, maybe this is a good time to try cosmetics. And so I asked, when I explain networking to students, crazy jump. When I talk to students about networking, I talk like it's a numbers game. Like you have to ask everybody you know. You don't know what their parents or their parents' friends do. You ask everybody, I'm really interested in getting a job in cosmetics. Can you help me?
Right.
And that is what I did for 2 weeks, and I got super lucky and got a job.
Mercifully, you had 3 years of experience as an account executive selling to Macy's and whoever.
Right. And
I think at that age, I couldn't talk to strangers, the idea of networking like that. But you were well prepared to take that advice, and you did well with it. And in 2 weeks, you found a job where?
I got a job as an account executive at Estee Lauder. And
when was that, in Atlanta?
In Atlanta. And I stayed there for 3 years, and then I moved to Chicago. And then after 10 years, I moved to New York.
Why'd you move to Chicago?
I got promoted.
Sweet.
Yeah.
And so where'd you live in Chicago?
I lived downtown. Gold Coast. Loved Chicago.
How did you like that? A Southern girl up in the big Yankee town.
I loved Chicago because I love architecture and art. And it's just such a vibrant city. And I lived there in the 90s. So we also had Michael Jordan. It was it was phenomenal. And I met my husband there.
And did you feel at all that you were all of a sudden amongst all these Yankees?
No, Chicago's kind of Midwestern. They're a little different than maybe moving to New York. And so by the time I moved to New York, I was already from Chicago.
Well, I went, I was raised in Cincinnati, graduated high school, then went to college in Dallas. And I wasn't there like 2 days before somebody said, what do you know? You're just a Yankee. Mm. And I was like,
and
what?
I don't know about Graders or Skyline Chili.
Yeah. But just the idea of not just being an American, had never considered that. And so I'm wondering if you, being a Southerner going up to North, felt any?
I didn't, and perhaps it was because I was working so much that
right.
They didn't care. Just deliver the numbers and build your team. Like it wasn't a factor.
And what kinds of numbers were you delivering?
Whatever the goal was for that.
Whatever. I guess the question: what were your goals at that point for Estee Lauder?
Wow.
Did you have accounts? Were you selling like
yes.
Bloomingdale's or?
Yes, I had all. I had. Well, when I moved there, I had Illinois, Minnesota. I could name department stores that have long been gone at this point.
Dillard's,
St. Louis. Well, Dillard's is still here.
Shillito's, Pogues.
Shillito's and Pogues, exactly. Yeah. I did not have Cincinnati. I had Cincinnati once in one job. Wanamaker's, Strawbridge's.
Yes.
So I had all the department stores in the Midwest. I went as far south as St. Louis.
Did you drive around?
I flew to those kinds of places. I had Michigan and Wisconsin, and I was a regional at that point, so I would have account executives that would pick me up at that time, and we'd drive around to all the malls, and I'd visit with the people and the store management and make sure our stuff was important to the store.
And you must have been amazing at that.
I think that was one of my better jobs. I think I did really well at that. It was really fun.
I can totally see that. You're so personable and lovely and all this stuff. They're probably looking forward to, straighten up. Nancy McKay's coming.
Well, that's the goal. Like, you want them to be happy but a little nervous, so they're on their best behavior, and you want them to be able to tell you a good story about their results.
Right.
Because they can all be nice. Like, the number has to match the story. So if she's terrific. Well, she's down 20. She can't be that terrific. Like, why? Like the numbers. I'm a numbers girl.
So did you collect not just the numbers, but like good stories and send those to the head office?
Oh, yeah. All the time.
Any stories you remember from?
Oh, wow. Norm.
Yeah. We can move. While you're thinking of that.
That's going to take me a minute.
So you're in Chicago, downtown, lived downtown for 3 years, did you say?
I was in Chicago for 10 years.
10 years. And then where'd you go?
Then I moved to New York.
Wow. And where'd you live there?
I moved to the Village when I first got there. And when I told my boss, we bought an apartment in Greenwich Village. And I said it like 2 or 3 times. And finally she goes, it's the Village. when people are going to think you're moving to Connecticut.
Oh, this was your New York boss.
This was my New York boss. He was no nonsense. Like, stop with the Greenwich.
Village.
Yeah.
Yeah. That's funny. Where in the Village were you?
On Jane and Washington.
Oh, sweet. Horatio in Washington.
I think
one block away.
Yeah, I was in that new building right between Horatio and Jane.
Nice.
Right on.
Oh, right. And how long were you in New York City?
23 years.
Just amazing.
Yeah. It was great.
Yeah. And what were some of the professional highlights from that time?
Well, first of all, I built an amazing team. I had great people on my team. And so probably one key thing was launching Tom Ford Beauty, which was a pretty massive undertaking.
Right.
He's an amazing designer, and you really wanted to make sure that you did well by his brand as it was starting out.
And so did you all approach him and say, listen, we want to use your brand to sell our beauty products?
No, we had a license. You have a license, and at a very senior level, like the gentleman who negotiated with Tom was somebody in our company who was very hot, just knew pop culture and the zeitgeist, what was happening.
Right.
And so he went to fashion shows and things. So he developed a relationship with Tom. And so when Tom was ready, Mr. Ford, I should say, when Mr. Ford was ready to think about beauty once he had his brand going, he'd left Gucci for a while. Most of these designers want to have a beauty brand so that you might not be able to afford a dress or a suit, but you can afford a bottle of perfume. So it's an entry into the brand.
Right.
And so he was anxious to do that, but he needed to wait till he had some major success with his own brand. And so when he did, I'm sure he talked to other companies, but he had a relationship with our senior person, a guy by the name of John Dempsey. And he arranged, there was a licensing agreement. And
right.
So we created the Tom Ford Beauty brand for him.
Right.
He was very involved. So
you say we created, and imagine like a laboratory with like scientists and beakers, bubbling stuff.
And samples and samples of eyeshadow. It started out with makeup, not skincare. So
for the Tom Ford brand.
For the Tom Ford, yeah. So,
right.
Some beakers, but more like, samples of product. And he had somebody from his team that was involved in the conversation. And we had amazing product developers at Estee Lauder. And
right.
So, he would want, we were going to charge a definite premium for an eyeshadow. We came in with a lipstick at $50 before anybody was at $50 for a lipstick. And so it was really interesting, like when I talk about different brands, I was selling a, $18 lipstick at Clinique, and then you learn how to sell a $50 lipstick at Tom Ford Beauty and like everything in between.
When you say learn how to sell a 50, what do you learn? How do you sell a 50 versus an 18?
Well, it depends on the customer. You find your customer. So that may or may not be the same customer. Somebody might use Clinique foundation, but they want to pull a Tom Ford lipstick or a Tom Ford blush out of their handbag. So that has some badge value. And so you market to your consumer. And beautiful. Tom shot all this was back in the days when magazines were part of the world.
Oh, magazines.
Magazines. And so he would do beautiful photo shoots, and he shot them all. He's really incredible.
Right.
And so you find your customer, you market to that customer, your distribution reflects that customer. So we had a partnership with Neiman's because he had a fashion partnership with Neiman's. And so do you think anybody is still listening to us on this?
I don't know. Apart from you saying that just now, I never worry about it.
That's good.
But now I lost my train of thought.
Sorry.
And no, that's okay. Is he still around, Tom Ford? He's still alive somewhere, right?
Oh, yeah, he's definitely still alive. The Estee Lauder company, years later, maybe 4 years ago, bought Tom Ford Fashion as well. And Tom exited the business. That was the first fashion purchase for the Estee Lauder companies. I think they paid maybe $2 billion for it. Crazy.
In a nutshell, as a marketing expert, what does the Tom Ford line stand for? What does the brand stand for? What's the brand essence of Tom Ford?
Ultra luxury. The true. He wants to be the true luxury brand of the 21st century.
But there's lots of people who are just luxury brands. I mean, how do you sort of back that up?
He backs it up with fashion and quality, and I think those are the two things. Fashion. He dresses so many celebrities who swear by him.
Right.
A lot of people dress.
It's probably helpful.
A lot of people dress celebrities. Think of poor Giorgio Armani. May he rest in peace. That's the kind of iconic nature that Tom wants to be. He wants to be even more luxurious than Giorgio Armani.
Right. And I'm just curious about how you go about being that.
The addiction that people have to his design is really impressive. And those people that are fanatics have a strong influence on others, whether they're true like influencers on
right.
TikTok and Instagram, or whether they're influencers at that level of consumer. He has a lot of fans that help influence his fashion. Now, it's going to be a very big question mark on what happens as he exits his business with his name on it.
Right.
So that'll be interesting to see.
Well, people do exit their businesses and they continue on.
Some do and some don't. I mean, some are successful and some are less so.
Right. And did you have ad agencies helping out with us as well?
Oh, yeah.
So sort of the influencers, the paid or unpaid media, but also you'd pay for magazine ads. And
oh, yeah. I mean, 360 degrees of media.
Right.
And some, obviously you have X number of dollars and you figure out where you want to put most of your money.
So during those 22 years in New York City, or 27, however many, working for this, if you wanted tickets to anything that was going on, because this is how the magazine industry worked.
Yeah.
Did you called People Magazine or you called, Vogue or whoever, and they got you tickets?
There were some definite perks. At one point, when I was at Aramis, the second time I went back there, and it was the name changed to the fragrance division. We had the license for Donna Karan and Tommy Hilfiger, and we did a fragrance with Andre Agassi. And that was the best 2 weeks of my entire career, bar none, because we hosted I could actually tell a really good story.
Yeah.
We hosted a booth for all of our vendors and our suppliers at the Open. And I got to be the host because nobody else in our entire company brand knew anything about tennis.
Right.
And so, here's my Andre Agassi story. I've been a huge fan for a long time, and no one ever, I kept them up to date on things, what was happening. And they were a little worried about my enthusiasm because we were going to have a press party with him. And so the president, who is South African, said, Nancy, I know you love him. You absolutely cannot talk to him. This is for our special guests.
Oh, geez.
Okay, I get it. I'm just happy to be in the same room and hear him talk and everything.
Right.
So later in the evening, I hear my name, Nancy. I'm like, what? And they're like, come up to the stage. They were going to take a group shot of the whole team. And so they were letting me join in the group shot.
Right.
And so as I'm walking up there, I was literally in the back room. As I'm walking up, I hear John, South African, go, we can't take the picture without Nancy because she keeps us up to date on you, Andre. And so I'm thinking, oh, that sounds so bizarre. So I get in the picture and I'm like, I know I'm not supposed to talk to him. I'm standing like right near him, but I'm going to keep walking. And I hear him go, Nancy? I'm like, I think that was Andre. And so I go, yes. And he said, could you tell me what John meant when he said that you keep everybody up to date on me? And I said, oh, yeah. So, well, you might have noticed that this isn't really that much of a tennis crowd. And I actually think I got the job because I could speak tennis, and they were getting ready to, enter into this agreement with you. And I said, so when you were in the French Open, I had just started, and so I kept the IBM scorecard on my computer. And so after every set, I would update everyone on how you were doing. And he did really well in that French Open. He made the semis. And I said, so it was, very exciting. Everybody was looking forward to my emails. And then I did it again for Wimbledon, and then again for the U.S. Open. This was soon after the U.S. Open. And he said, oh, okay. And I said, I looked around, my bosses weren't there. Could I ask you a question? And he said, sure. And he's about my height, so I'm like eye to eye with him. And I said, so I play tennis.
Did he have hair at the time or not?
Yes, he did. Not a lot, but he had hair.
Right.
And I said, I play tennis, and I wonder, how can you keep from being frustrated when you miss an easy shot? And he said, he looked at me like those brown eyes. He said, it doesn't serve my objective. I was like, wow. And so I said, that is the answer of an extremely focused person. And he said, well, if you watch the IBM score at the bottom of your computer, you don't even need to look at the game. You can tell whether I'm being focused or not. He said, at this point in my career, I can beat anyone. The question is, can I be focused enough?
Wow.
Wasn't that cool?
I love that.
Yeah. It doesn't serve my objective.
And where's that picture of you and your team there at the U.S. Open?
That's a really good question. It's probably in some box somewhere.
I would love to see that.
Yeah,
What a great story.
Yeah, it was really fun.
Huh. And you mentioned team a bunch in all the various places that you've worked and how important it is to develop a good team and stuff. How is, circling back here, how's your Porch Fest team? Who's, we started with Liz, and then you've sort of taken it over. And I imagine that you've got a whole bunch of people working or reporting to you to help make this happen.
I have one co-chair, a guy by the name of Rick Nuzzo, and he does a lot. And so we work together. And then there's someone who's been in charge of getting all of the food. Angela Laura has been in charge of getting all the food trucks for us, which is a big job of getting the town to approve all of the food trucks and that regulation and stuff.
Do they have to prove them one by one?
Yes, because they have to fill out all the health regulations
Right.
and forms and stuff, so it's properly handled. The food is properly handled. And then I have a very good friend who was kind enough to redo the website for me, named Roger Buon, who did a great job. And if you go to the website for Porch Fest, you go under musicians, there's little boxes for every musician, and you can click on it and you can hear their music. So if you want to decide who you want to go see,
to
it's great.
preview who you want to go see.
Exactly.
Huh.
But I definitely could use more volunteers, particularly for the day of the event next Saturday. So if anybody's listening.
Let's ask again. How would they reach you if they wanted to volunteer?
They would reach me on my email. Do you think there's anybody still listening? unmckay@gmail.com.
unmckay@gmail.com.
That's right.
To volunteer for Porch Fest.
Right. I just need people to be able to coordinate, make sure that the bands got what they need, and whether they need a utility card or something like that.
Right.
And I need people to man the merchandise. We're going to have really good value at the merchandise table.
And it's good-looking merchandise. You brought some here tonight. Thank you so much.
You're so welcome.
The beautiful hat and a Porch Fest branded T-shirt. And let me just say to potential volunteers, I've volunteered there for like 6 or 7 years or something, and it's so much fun. It's just always so nice to be a part of this beautiful. It feels like a gift to the town of Rhinebeck.
It is. And what do you do when you volunteer, Norm?
Enough about me, Nancy.
No. You do this really cool thing.
Every year, the first year I remember helping, I was biking around town, and Frank Palea, hardest working artist in the Hudson Valley, was doing a chalk drawing, bless you, in the middle of the road. What was it, Mulberry and Chestnut? Mm-hmm. And I'm like, hey, Frank, what are you doing? And he said, here, take some chalk and fill in. And so I started chalking his mural, just from doing the in-betweens. He'd do the outlines and I'd just sort of like color it in. And it was really just one of the best days of my life. Then I helped him for a few years. And then he was out of town. And somehow Liz called me, I guess. I was like, yeah, I'd love to do that. And then the next year, I was like, let me find you another artist.
And we have an exciting
Steve
one
Miller.
for this year.
Yes, Mickey Duge. Did I pronounce that right, Kimmy? She's the expert on pronunciation. Mickey Duge, who's a spectacular artist, Rhinebeck resident. And he's an animator and a movie maker and an illustrator. And he has created a beautiful piece of art. We're actually going to install it over the course of 2 days. Friday's going to do the outline, and then Saturday I'm going to fill in again, which I just love to do so much. And Saturday morning we'll be doing that around 7 a.m. Here's my own plug. If anybody wants to come help chalk in the middle of the road on Saturday morning of Porch Fest, it is so damned delightful. And you can reach me through unmckay@gmail.com.
I hope I get a lot of emails.
Yeah, I hope you do too. How many volunteers do you typically have working Porch Fest, making it happen?
Well, last year I had some students from Rhinebeck High School, and I'm hoping that works out again. So usually about 10 people. And then there's the guys that drive the utility carts that help move bands around with their equipment.
Right.
And so that's another 6 or 7 people. So there's in all about 20 people that are putting it on.
And then there's a bunch of guys who work for the village or the town.
Yeah. Oh, and then the police, they cordon off the streets, and so the police are standing at the various entry points to the town.
Right. It's so good. Any idea what the weather forecast is? Or
I might have peaked that. I mean, they get it wrong like 10 minutes before. Like it's raining at my house and it doesn't show. But it did look sunny on next Saturday.
Well, I hope it works out.
Me too.
I mean, it really is, like I say, it feels like a gift to the village of Rhinebeck.
It's such a great day.
Yeah. Huh. And what are your favorite parts of the day?
My favorite parts are seeing people standing and listening to the different music, whether it's Grandpa Joe's wash band, washboard band, or Carrie Zaz's band, or my husband's band, Catawampus, or Liz Mazzarella's family band, Hammerheads.
Oh, sweet.
Yeah, they're terrific. And Local Jam is another great band. So we've just got so much talent. And then there's a lot of singer-songwriters, Kathy Young, Karen and Brian Tobias. And Karen is in the Tom Pretty's. But she's doing it just a duo with her husband. So there's just so many great musicians.
They're going to be at 38 Livingston Street, which, if memory serves me, is a really beautiful house.
Yes, with a great porch.
Yeah, and a wonderful owner.
Yeah, indeed.
And do you get complaints? There must be grouches complaining about this every year.
Yeah, there are a few.
What are some of the complaints?
Well, the one that troubles me the most is when there are bands that are too close in proximity and some bands playing a little bit too loud. That's troubling because this isn't like a big single concert that you have the whole floor. So you kind of have to be respectful of the other musicians, even though we try really hard to space them out.
Right.
So that's one. And I hope that the job this year I hope it's a little better. And then the other are neighbors that don't really want people on their lawn, and that's understandable. But most people are very respectful and walk in the street. Like the streets are full of people.
Right. And if you're listening and have complaints, send them to normmagnuson@gmail.com. I'll answer that.
I really have very few. I mean, people are really, they love the event. And when I say, when I go around handing out flyers, can you hang this flyer up for Porch Fest? Oh, Porch Fest, yay. So been the community's really supportive.
Yeah, I saw you bring a flyer in here to the Epicurean, the fabulous corner store in Rhinecliff, New York, from which we broadcast.
And fantastic place.
Chris, spectacular Chris, behind the counter, took it and put it right up.
Excellent.
Yeah. Yeah, and speaking of the Epicurean here, it's First Friday in Rhinecliff, and it's celebrating the 5-year anniversary of the Epicurean. So come on down, bring your $15, get some barbecued chicken, baked potatoes with the works, Cliff's caviar, and some cupcakes. All right, we had a couple more minutes left, and there's things I wanted to ask. Somebody, I won't name names, Kyla. Said, I think she invested in a friend's racehorse that won the Kentucky Derby. Any truth to this?
I didn't invest in it, but I was there. My friends have a horse racing. They have a horse business, thoroughbred horses, and they have actually won the Kentucky Derby. And I have actually been in the winner's circle in the Kentucky Derby.
What a blast.
Their first year that they entered a horse, that horse won. Super Saver. Crazy.
That was the name of the horse?
That was the name of the horse. Yeah.
What a name.
I know. It was crazy.
It sounds kind of cheap. Super Saver.
It wasn't.
And are you a racing fan in general?
I never knew anything about it until, it's interesting when you have friends and they have, different interests.
Right.
You start to learn about it. So I am a student of the jockeys. So when I go to the races, I see who's riding because I think the top jockeys really make a difference. So I'm like super into that. But I love knowing about horse racing. It's really an interesting business.
So you must have been to or watched enough horse races to develop this jockey theory.
Yes.
And who are the jockeys you like? The only one I know was Willie Shoemaker.
Yeah, he hasn't been riding
1974.
in a while. Yeah. I like Irad. Oh my God, I have not been to a race this year, and I feel really bad about it.
What makes a really good jockey, in your opinion?
They understand the capability of their horse, and they understand who's going to come out to lead. Because sometimes you have a horse that's going to be the chaser that you're chasing. That's not the right word, but you're chasing that horse, and you know that he's going to fade. So you can't go too fast out of the gate because you have to make sure you can close. So a good jockey, an excellent jockey, really understands who the other horses are in the race.
Right.
And there is also something to the tracks and the length of the race. So,
Right.
The Belmont is the longest race of the Triple Crown. It's significantly longer than the Derby, and so does that horse have the juice to get to that extra, whatever it is, eighth of a mile. So it's just an interesting, the mentality of what it takes to be a jockey and the strength to stay on those horses, these amazing, beautiful animals. So it's just an interesting world and it's a very generous sport. Like my friends, they invite friends and we get to all go and learn about horse racing. So it's been great.
And what about betting? Do you like betting on the ponies?
Well, we do like a show pool. So everybody gives $10. And so if there's, 10 of us, we have $100. And so everybody takes a turn betting and you bet to show. And
Right.
you try to bet not, with good odds so that your pot grows. And so a couple times, like we've had a couple $1,000 at the end of the day, there's 15 races in a day.
Right.
And so you bet on the big race with all that money and try to make some money.
Love that.
It's really fun. I mean, I don't bet a lot of money or anything, but
It sounds like a blast.
it's fun.
Well, guess what? We're out of time. Is there, there's 10 seconds. Is there
Porch
anything you want to
Fest,
say about
September
Porch Fest?
13th. Porch Fest. And tell your friends.
Volunteer, unmckay@gmail.com.
That's right.
Nancy McKay, UN McKay, thank you so much for coming in and talking.
Thank you.
We didn't get to nearly all the stuff I'd like to talk about. Everybody, thanks for tuning in. Have a great Friday. Come down to First Friday in the 5th anniversary of the Epicurean Corner Store here in Rhinecliff, and have a fabulous weekend. Thanks, Jen Hammoud.
Thank you. Thanks for having me.